Madam Clerk, if you could please call the roll for this Tuesday, January 7th, 2020 City Council meeting.
Councilmember Ashby, Councilmember Warren, Councilmember Harris, Councilmember Hanson, Councilmember Chenier, Councilmember Jennings, and Vice Mayor Guerra.
Thank you very much, Madam Clerk. Do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum. For the record, Councilmember Carr is expected momentarily, and Mayor Steinberg will be absent this evening.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have some special guests here today. Girl Scout troop representing the Sacramento Zoo area and Land Park in Pocket is here today to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If we could have all our troopers here from the Scouts join us. If everyone could please stand.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. And I believe we have a small little New Year's welcome here from the troop as well.
Hurry, hurry, hurry. Let's go.
2020 starting off at a good start here. And while they're coming up here, Councilmember Steve Hansen.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I just wanted to say thank you to the 3 troops that are represented here tonight. This is, I think, their 3rd year coming, and I believe that they'll say a little bit about what we all love and enjoy, which is cookie season. But these young women, we spent a little bit of time together earlier. They're still distributing the goodies. Everybody thought the holidays were over, but this is a special holiday today. Ladies, would you like to tell us a little bit about cookie season real quick?
Okay, come on, ladies, come back.
And if you want, you can give one of us the mayor's cookies and we'll give them to him.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah. Thank you.
Councilmember Hansen will find a good home for those.
Yeah. Does one of you want to tell us about the cookie sale real quick before we move on?
Cookie sales start this Friday, January 10th. Cookies come out on February 15th, and cookie sales end on March 15th. Individual Girl Scouts throughout the city and the state will start selling the cookies, and we will also have booth sales that you can find on a website.
Great. If we wanted to order tonight, is there a way to go online now? What's the website?
There's no possible way to order today because they come out Friday. However, the Girl Scout website is girlscoutheartofcentralcalifornia.com.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Hansen, and thank you to the troop. Let's give them a big round of applause here. And they're going to join us in the front for a quick photo. Come on up over here. And as they're getting up, I also want to do a shout out. We had Troop 1023 that came and joined us at City Hall this afternoon as well. So for those watching, we want to give them. If my colleagues can join me here real quick, and we'll take a quick photo. And thank them for coming out here and seeing City Hall in action.
You're all taking photos.
All right. And you get to hold this gavel here while you're at it.
Let's let her run the meeting.
That's right. All right, let's give them another big round of applause. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Madam Clerk, the first item on the consent calendar.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I have one speaker on the consent calendar on item number 13, Robert Copeland. And I have no other speakers on the consent calendar.
And I'm going to second that.
It's been properly moved by Councilmember Hansen and seconded by Councilmember Chenier. Mr. Copeland, good evening.
I belong to a group called Dogfight, which stands for Disability Organized Group for Nationally Total Equality. Anything you can do for the disabled population in Sacramento, we're going to approve of it. If you make a more ADA complaint, the sidewalks and anything else, go for it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Councilmember Chenier. Oh, since there are no further members of the public or the council wishing to speak, it has been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor of the item, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, next item.
The next item is number 20, an ordinance adding chapters 5.86 and 5.90 to and amending chapter 5.88 and various sections of chapter 12.72 of the Sacramento City Code relating to mobile services, vending vehicles, outdoor vending, and sidewalk vending, and establishment of fees to administer sidewalk vending program.
Good evening.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. My name is Tessa St. John. I'm a program manager with the Finance Department. The item before you is an ordinance to permit and regulate sidewalk vending in accordance with state law and a resolution for public hearing to establish permit fees. Currently, city code limits the operation and permitting of sidewalk vending to food sales and only on specific corners in the central business district. In January of 2019, Senate Bill 946 became effective, legalizing the sale of both food and merchandise on the public sidewalk and in public parks throughout the state of California. This new legislation is more permissive than existing city code. Under the state law, the city may regulate and permit sidewalk vendors, but only when those regulations are related to objective health, safety, or welfare concerns. State law dictates a city cannot restrict vending to a limited area, cannot place a limit on the number of vendors allowed, and community hostility or economic competition are not considered valid reasons to regulate. State law also allows for vending in public parks, but the city can restrict the vending to limit the impact on park usage. Enforcement action is also regulated by the state law, including limits placed on citation amounts and requiring accommodation based on a vendor's ability to pay. As this council is aware, enforcement around sidewalk vending has long been a challenge and is expected to continue to be difficult. Code enforcement is available to answer any specific enforcement questions. Due to the state law, the city's existing outdoor vending code is no longer enforceable as written. In order to regulate sidewalk vending, council must adopt an updated ordinance. Sidewalk vendors can be vibrant additions to the community, providing innovative economical business opportunities, expanding options for consumers, and encouraging pedestrian activity. Requiring basic regulations and a permit will allow these businesses to grow while helping to ensure the safety of the community. City staff conducted research and engaged in outreach efforts in order to draft the ordinance. Outreach included community meetings throughout the city, meeting with neighborhood and business associations, meeting with vendors and vendor advocates, and working with Sacramento County to provide comprehensive information about health permits. City staff intends to continue to prioritize education and outreach to increase compliance with the permitting process before initiating enforcement. Highlights of the proposed ordinance include that vendors must maintain 50% of sidewalk space for pedestrian use, distance restrictions around other vendors, special events, farmers markets, and entertainment venues in order to manage sidewalk congestion and unsafe loitering. Vendors are required to visibly display their city permit, pay business operation tax, and obtain a health permit from the county if they are selling food. All stationary permits issued in public parks will be approved by youth parks and community enrichment staff to prevent interference with park usage. Stakeholders met with staff and Councilmember Chenier after the proposed ordinance was published, and as a result, he requested additional changes. Those changes are included in tonight's packet and include specific situational distance requirements, including that vendors must be 100 feet from other vendors in high pedestrian areas, 600 feet from any entertainment venues during the hours of 12 a.m. and 2:30 a.m., 300 feet from a special event or outdoor market, including farmers markets. The revised language includes only the lower level citation amounts applied to any violation of the chapter, with amounts limited from $100 to $500. And the addition of language requiring an annual report to council about the implementation of the permitting program, including demographic information about those participating. Finally, keeping the permit process simple and cost low for these small businesses was a priority. Permit costs are listed in the report packet, but will range between $40 and $112. To conclude my presentation, staff recommends that council pass a motion creating chapters 5.86 and 5.90 5.90, including with the updated language, and amending Chapters 5.88 and 12.72 of the City Code, and adopt a resolution establishing fees to administer the sidewalk vending permitting program. I am available to answer any questions. I'm also joined by representatives from Code Enforcement, the Police Department, and Sacramento County Environmental Management Department. Thank you.
Thank you very much. First, I'd actually like to extend a sincere thanks to all our city staff, Tessa, and also Jose in Code Enforcement. You did a tremendous amount of work of working with the community. I also like to thank Alejandro Cabrera in my office, who a lot of countless hours of trying to do the outreach that this takes. And I know we have members of the public signed up to speak, but I wanted to, again, thank you for taking that strong effort to making sure that we're working with all our communities about this issue.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Madam Clerk?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I have 8 speakers on this item. The first is Johan van Ravenhorst, then Corrine van Ravenhorst, then Eric Crane.
So, dear Council, thank you again for the opportunity to speak. My name is Johan van Ravenhorst from Dutchman Stroopwafels, and I'm an outdoor food vendor. I would like to especially thank Tesla and her colleagues for her tireless work on the city ordinances, especially because she keeps mentioning the challenged enforcement effectiveness. I can imagine that it would be frustrating and demoralizing to make rules knowing that enforcement is almost impossible. I am a rule follower, so it would be nice if resources are made available for proper enforcement for a level playing field. Also, I would like to highlight the size restrictions. I did that also last time, especially the height, the umbrella that is required for hygiene. I don't want to poke my customers in the eye, because they may help me or the city liable, and we want to avoid that. So maybe we can have a practical solution for that. The same goes for the length. So that's about it. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Corrine van Ravenhorst, then Eric Crane.
Good evening, Corrine von Ravenhorst with Dutchman Stroopwafels. We appreciate the time and work that's gone into this and want to especially recognize Tessa for being so accessible and helping answer our questions. While we recognize the competing priorities and needs the city is trying to balance for sidewalk accessibility and vending use, and also the desire to enact something tonight, we do have a couple of concerns, questions, and possible recommendations for council. In Sacramento City Code 5.90.230, the cart cannot exceed 8 feet in length, 6 feet in width, and 8 feet in height, and we would be prohibited from using our existing food bike. We would either request one of the 3 following alternatives. 1, some sort of special exemption for unique situations such as ours, a food bike. Ours is 10 feet long, 4 feet wide, and 9.5 feet tall. Recognizing the need for the height of the umbrella not to hit somebody that's 6 feet 3 inches high. Another possibility would be changing Sacramento City Code 5.90.230 from 8 feet to 10 feet in length, or 8 feet to 10 feet in height, although I recognize there's probably a desire to keep it small. So the third option could be doing something similar to carry-on bags for flights, where it's limited to linear feet instead, and maybe proposing something like 25 linear feet if it includes an umbrella, so that it's not taking up too much space on the sidewalk. The second point I'd like to bring up, in Sacramento City Code 5.90.270B, its proposed requirement would limit us from not being able to have a cooler to set on the ground, and the county regulation allows us to have 1 cooler on the ground. So we would request an amendment to that section to allow 1 cooler to set on the ground next to the food cart. And the third one that we wanted to bring up, for the stationary vending permit, if we apply for multiple locations, because we move around during the week, it's unclear if the first application of $112 would cover multiple locations, and we would request that it would if it's applied for the first time, and also that it be just 1 permit, so we don't have to put multiple stickers on our bike for multiple different locations. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate your comments. Thank you.
Next speaker is Eric Crane, then Jamison Parker, then James Moore.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and Council. Eric Crane, Downtown Sacramento Partnership. I'd like to start by thanking Tessa St. John and the rest of the city staff for working with us over the past year, hearing our concerns and bringing forward a stronger ordinance. I'd also like to thank Councilmember Hanson and Councilmember Chenier for taking time to meet with our staff and discuss concerns. Some of the components we really like are the vendor limits within 300 feet of a special event or farmer's market. Also the regulations and restrictions around the Old Sacramento waterfront with the 6-foot clearance of the boardwalks. We really do appreciate that. We would urge you to adjust the restrictions around the e-permits, asking potentially to move that to 10 p.m. rather than midnight, just because the Central City is actually home to over 70% of the e-permits within the city. And we really need to ensure that our nightlife and entertainment offerings can maintain a safe and accessible perimeter for the entrance and the exit of guests to those businesses. As always, we also would like to see and make sure that these are effectively enforced. So we'd ask that you would consider allocating additional resources to code enforcement to ensure these new regulations can be fully implemented in an effective and safe manner. We appreciate your support, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms.
Next speaker is Jamison Parker, then James Moore.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. Jamison Park with the Midtown Association. Happy New Year, and I hope you guys had a great recess. I hope it was relaxing. I first want to thank Tessa and everybody else that's been involved in this process. It's been a really great process stewarding this through. As you all know, the Midtown Association represents a very dense urban environment that has many local businesses and those that we support and want to be prosperous. We're very encouraged and supportive of a system that affords everyone an equal opportunity to participate and have a prosperous business and to have that economic opportunity. The one thing we want to balance is public safety. This is especially true in some of our most dense, high-traffic urban areas. For example, 20th and K is one of our main destinations of nightlife entertainment options. Thousands of people on a daily basis will attend and visit or frequent many of the businesses there. On a daily basis, businesses have to work on egress and ingress of their property. That's a constant challenge. One thing that we would ask and agree with what the Downtown Partnership is, adjusting the entertainment permit restrictions slightly to move it back from midnight to 10 p.m. That would allow us to really focus on maintaining an orderly environment during the times where you have a lot of frequent pedestrians in the areas. With that, we appreciate this conversation and hope to participate moving forward. Thank you.
Next speaker is James Moore, then Maria Lopez.
Hi, my name is James Moore of Big City Bites. I'm a late-night hot dog vendor. One thing I did want to comment on is extending the size of the cart from 8 feet to 12 feet because a lot of carts that we're trying to purchase are between 9 and 12 feet in the first place. The next thing I wanted to touch on was the 1 a.m. to 3 a.m. They're currently asking for vendors to move 1,000 feet away, or I believe 600 feet now. I actually wanted to shorten that to 100 feet. The reason for that being, I understand it's a giant public safety issue because what you're trying to do is as people are coming out of the clubs, you have a whole bunch of people that are drunk, congregating in a small area, fights happen, other things. But what happens is a lot of people that are so intoxicated, they actually can't take Ubers home. So they take, hot dogs from us, waters from us, they sober up, which allows them to hop in Ubers and actually, go home. And plus, a lot of my business is actually between 12:30 and 2:30 actually a.m. That's my biggest time. I sometimes don't even make sales up until that point. So if we can extend the distance a little bit, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Next speaker is Maria Lopez, then Carlos Castaneda.
Buenas tardes.
Buenas tardes.
Mi nombre es María López. Antes que nada, les quiero dar las gracias por la oportunidad que nos están dando a los vendedores. Gracias a Tessa por un trabajo impresionante que está haciendo. Lo que sí nos gustaría es que mientras está el proceso de que se haga para trabajar bajo las reglas, fueran un poquito más considerados, no sé cuál es la palabra, para las multas, porque pues imagínense 1, 2 o 3 al año ya es demasiado, y también en los horarios, porque un horario de las 10 se me hace muy poquito, en el horario de verano apenas se está oscureciendo, entonces sí considero que el horario está bien, el actual de ahorita de 12:30. Es un horario razonable y con mayor seguridad. Entonces, pues principalmente, más que nada, gracias por la oportunidad porque nos están dando la oportunidad de trabajar y de sacar adelante a nuestras familias. La mayoría de nuestras personas que trabajan son estudiantes para sacar adelante sus estudios sin necesidad de tomar un préstamo. Y estamos bajo las reglas. Mientras nos digan qué es lo que necesitamos, nosotros estamos aquí dispuestos a colaborar.
Bueno, mil gracias. Madam Clerk, could you reset the clock for Mr. Perez to translate?
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I'll just try to summarize and translate. Maria wanted to thank all of you for all your work and all the city staff as well. She asked that if you could be a little more considerate about the fines, because with the current fines right now, just 2 or 3 fines a year can severely impact them. She also asked if the current time slot in the ordinance right now could be kept the way it is from 12 a.m. to 2:30 a.m. She thanks for the work that was put on that because she heard of others' suggestion to change that, and also that a lot of the people that work these jobs are people trying to get through school, trying to support families. So she's very grateful of all the work that's been put on this, and that vendors just want to follow the law and they want to be be good workers here. So, thank you.
Muchas gracias y le agradezco por el tener la oportunidad de trabajar con nuestra oficina y vamos a hacer lo más que podamos aquí. I want to thank you for participating and doing and working with our staff, and we're going to get as much done as we can here. So.
Thank you.
Carlos Castaneda, then Chris Logston.
Hi, my name is Carlos Castañeda. I am volunteers with Latinx Young Democrats. It's thanks to Alejandro who called us for help to organize the street vendors. They give us the opportunity, and also to you, Eric, to talk to the street vendors, and also many meetings with Tessa and Jose, and many calls and emails to get these things, possible for them. Number one, I would like to let you know the street vendors, they want to work with you, they want to have the permits, they want to have it, everything legal, because they want also to cooperate, with the local authorities in something they saw, something that happened to them, especially because they carry cash, there has been pretty much vulnerable to many things can happen. They would like to get their permits, getting done. Only thing they are okay with it with the times, the current times from 12 at midnight from 2 a.m. in the morning. With the restrictions, they are fine also too. The only thing that is concerning is the fines. While in the meantime, state laws, which is preventing the permits get easy coming up from the county, and the city, in order to get the permit, has to be approved from the county. In order to the county get the permit, it has to be in the law what is required by the state law. It's not easy. It's taking a long process. Also, to have the vehicles, to adapt their vehicles, the cars, is one price. The insurance is another price. To make the food in one commissary or restaurant is not an easy. Sacramento only has 2 commissaries. So in that time, the process is not easy. I know they will be, Tessa and Jose, they will working on these issues. But I would like you to be considerate in the times on the fines. Anything else? Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for all the times they've been put it on into this law. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Carlos.
Chris Logston is the final speaker on this item.
All right, I'm going to make this quick. I want to thank Tessa, Jay, your staff, some of the folks from the business associations. I realized that, this is, so I came into this process representing Black-owned businesses, specifically, exclusively, to make sure that Black-owned businesses, particularly Black vendors, Black American vendors, would be able to share in the increased opportunity that expanded sidewalk vending allows. And I think what we have now, the product in front of us, is a lot better than what we got to start with. So just want to extend my thanks. And just sort of want to, put this sort of in a place where it is the first step toward more inclusiveness. I know that's something that's sort of been being thrown around now. So this is a step toward that. And so I just want to thank you all for your work and looking forward to continued work. Thanks again.
Thank you for your comments. Well, thank you, and I agree. This has been part of the sausage making. Nothing to be vended here, but it has been an experience of getting multiple points of view. We'll go ahead and start off with members of the council here. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Tessa, I have a couple of questions for you. So as regards street vending in parks, you know, we discussed this issue in its entirety at Lawn Ledge and a fair amount of discussion there. I also wanted to thank Councilmember Chenier for the additions, you know, and the separations and so forth. So if we find, say, that street vending in the parks is leading to an awful lot of trash, as is a possibility, and leading to an extra workload for our parks maintenance workers, what avenue or recourse do we have to deal with that?
Yes, thank you for your question. We have worked closely with the Parks Department regarding that. They actually do think, because there is so much vending already occurring in the parks, just unpermitted vending, that they are already kind of absorbing a lot of that cleanup. There is a requirement in the ordinance that does require the vendor that they're responsible for their own waste disposal. So if they are permitted and we, you know, recognize that they're leaving their waste or dumping it into the park's trash can, we will be able to address that to them if they're permitted, or cite them if they're unpermitted. If we will work closely with parks, if they do notice an increase, then we can look at either, you know, reducing the number of permits we issue in parks because it's having a negative impact, or possibly increasing the fee associated with the park permit to help cover some of that extra cost.
It's a special permit to do park vending?
If you're gonna get a stationary permit, so you're gonna set up in the park, you know, for your business, during your business hours, then it is an additional fee. It's only an additional fee of $30 with the regular permit cost, and that's to help cover the cost of having park staff review the appropriateness of it.
So another question I have, you know, my office puts on Pops in the Park, so special event in the parks, and vendors actually give us remuneration to be able to sell at the events, and we use that money to do projects in the community. But, you know, they are paying to play, and they also can make a profit at what they do as well. In terms of separation during a special event like that, which is kind of amorphous and does not have a specific boundary, how would you measure a 300-foot separation? Would that be from the nearest vendor at Pops in the Park? Or, you know, I'm just wondering, I don't want to create an undue or unfair competition situation where people are paying to vend at the event and then other people would be vending nearby.
I'm not super familiar with that event. I think the idea is that the 300 feet limit is kind of from the perimeter of the event. So it would be, if there's not a clear kind of perimeter, then I would imagine it would be from kind of the last event participant. So yeah, the last vendor that's participating.
Well, you know, these events pretty much take place in an entire park. You know, like at Bertha Henschel Park and certainly East Portal Park. It almost fills the entire park. So perhaps you and I can have a discussion about what that might look like. I do have a couple of suggestions, you know, about how that might be workable.
Yes, absolutely. I would love to have that discussion with you. I think if the permit is issued for the entire park, then the way that I envision it working is that it's then any other vendor that's not part of your event has to be 300 feet from the perimeter of that park.
Okay, thank you. That brings some clarification. And thanks for your work on this. I know it's been a long haul.
Thank you, Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. And I have seen this a couple times at Lawn Ledge as well, and this has been a process. And I want to thank first the community members who've participated in it, because we've learned a lot about Dutch stroopwafels, thanks to our friends and many of the other vendors who've come out. And I think the ordinance has greatly improved from where we started. And Tessa, that's a testament to your fortitude and willingness to collaborate. I know Councilmember Chenier had several changes that came since Lawn Ledge, and there's been a workshop with a lot of different people. Vice Mayor Guerra has done a tremendous amount of work as well. And I think one of the messages here, thanking Jose and the code enforcement staff is sometimes out of things that don't go well, we end up putting together something that's really good. And I know a lot of people were upset with what happened at Our Lady of Guadalupe. And out of that frustration and a lot of other things have come this community engagement to shape an ordinance that I think is very good for the city and very good for the community. I know when I was a little bit younger, because now I'm over 40, so I can't do it anymore, but a hot dog cart after a couple drinks was a nice thing to encounter, especially in Lavender Heights, you know, in my earlier days. But I do want to ask about a couple things that came up during the public testimony. One, just because Councilmember Harris raised it, it didn't seem that clear, the property line issue for parks in here. Do you have enough discretion in the ordinance just to deal with that, if that comes up?
I believe that we do, because the way that it's written, it's 300 feet from the permitted special event.
Okay.
So I think there's some discretion as to how we're measuring that.
One of the things that's come up from a couple of people who've talked to me is trash from mobile vendors, and that was one of the things that Councilmember Harris also raised. It says in there that the vendor's responsible for the waste, but it's not clear that they should provide a trash can adjacent to the cart for anything. Is that something that you envision as part of what that means to be responsible for the waste?
Yes, that is, because, I mean, I would think if you're being held responsible for it, you would want to provide a way for your customers to responsibly dispose of it. Otherwise, it's going to come back to you. So that would be part of it, although it's not spelled out.
I know most of the vendors already do that. They put out a small trash can for the waste, and I think that's a fairly reasonable expectation given the way it's written. I just wanted to double check that. Some of the comments related to the application and one permit for multiple locations. Do you want to address that?
Sure, and I do think some of this is going to be a little bit of growing pains and trial and error as we kind of figure out how these businesses are operating. Most of our stationary vendors do kind of set up and operate at one, maybe two locations throughout the week. We do have vendors like the Stroop Waffles. They're kind of a hybrid because they're very mobile because they're on a bike, but they also set up. So the way that the resolution is written is there is a permit fee for your stationary permit, and that is to cover you coming in, applying for one location. I want to vend at 9th and I, and city staff is approving that that meets all the requirements. And then there is a fee for adding an additional location. It is not clarified in the resolution whether or not, you can add additional locations included on that first permit fee. So we're kind of looking at that now. The way that it was written originally was that it would just be for one location, and then you would have to pay to add locations.
Is that because of the staff time necessary to evaluate that location and approve it?
Yes, exactly. Because the idea with the stationary location permit is staff is verifying that that spot is big enough for you to operate safely.
The cooler issue, is it permissible to put a cooler down adjacent to the?
It is.
This is a little bit of sausage making, everyone.
Yeah, it's written that all items have to remain on your cart, so no.
I think because this is a work in progress, and I think that ultimately we'd like to see this again in maybe 6 or 9 months after we get some experience. That's one where maybe we should exercise some discretion without maybe amending the ordinance tonight as code looks at it. I think it's somewhat reasonable to have a cooler adjacent to the cart, as long as it's not a trip hazard or something. So I would just say and this gets to the enforcement issue in a second, but I think as we go into this, I've talked to our Central City captain a little bit, and I think we're gonna start with the education, working with the vendors. So as much as fines are an option, I think that we should augur towards education, working with people, and I think that's normally the practice anyways, but on something like that, I think that's a little bit more of a discretion issue if it's not a hazard. The next thing, and again, I wasn't involved in the work group that happened, but this cart size issue, I think is one that probably needs to be addressed more specifically. And have you thought about that?
Yes, and again, this is something based on our research and reviewing other ordinances. We wanted to put some sort of size limitation on there, and that was modeled after some other ordinances. And again, it's just a matter of not knowing exactly what was going to come in and what the carts looked like. So it's certainly something we can look at adjusting.
So I would say, to the extent necessary tonight, we should increase the size of the cart at least marginally to accommodate the two vendors that we heard from tonight. And I don't know if we need to read into the record or through some motion that, or if you want to do it some other way. I know that that's more of a technical amendment. Our ordinance or rules require printed copies of any changes to it. So maybe it needs to come back on consent or something. I don't know what the will of the council is. If people aren't objecting, then maybe we could just make the technical amendment.
I think it's very technical.
Yeah. Is that okay with folks?
I don't see any objections.
Okay. And then on the fines, I do agree with the woman who spoke about the cost of the violation. And I guess I would like to see the violation amounts reduced by a significant factor, 50%, for particularly for both sections. It starts at 250, and it's hard for me without going back and forth and referencing it, but I think that fines can only achieve so much, and to me, given the profit margin of most of these vendors, it's pretty punitive to go that high. And I'm not criticizing the staff who worked on this, but I do think that we've often, like on shared rideables, tried to drop the fine amount to use it as an educational opportunity if it has to be used, rather than to use it as a punitive measure. As we work on this, I'll make a motion that we reduce the fines in the ordinance.
Can I just to clarify, if we adopt Councilmember Chenier's recommendations, it removes that higher level fine tier, the 251, and is just the second, it's $100, $200, and $500. So just so I'm clear about what you want to lower those to.
Those are fair.
I still think maybe that's something we revisit then, because that's also part of this process. It's moved around so much, it's kind of hard to know exactly where we landed. But I still lean towards fines start at 50 and move up. And I realize that most of these are entrepreneurs, they're trying their best, and a $50 fine would probably have the same impact as a $100 fine. But I think it also gives us a chance to have those conversations in a different way without it being overly punitive. Because you have to sell a lot of tamales to pay a $100 fine, and still, I think it's really important that we look at that. And then the last thing, I think this one's gonna be probably a little bit harder, but I haven't, again, been that involved with the drafting. And given that most of the large entertainment venues are in my district, I am very worried about waiting until midnight to create the space. Many of you know that we have on occasion had significant incidents in our entertainment venues. We try to manage that through our entertainment permit process to prevent them. But I am worried of an incident that would happen when some of these venues might be full to accommodate safe egress, a shooting, something else. I don't want to be morbid, but it has happened in the past. So I do think we should try out 10 p.m. for the first 6 months. And then if there are no incidents, allow it to go to 12 and see how it goes. And if that's acceptable to the council, then I'll turn that into a motion to adopt it. And again, thank everybody. I'm excited to come out and try the food carts, just like I'm excited to sit in our restaurants, and I'm not as excited to go out late at night. But I'll open and close the public hearing and move the item with those recommended changes, as long as that's the will of the council.
Good. It's been it's been moved to open and close the public comment hearing, and the item has been moved. Councilmember Chenier.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So Tessa, thank you. Appreciate the work, and I want to thank members of the community. And Chris, I don't know where you went. Thank you for the there you go. Thank you for the conversation on this. I think this is a pretty classic case of difficult policymaking because we're trying to make everybody happy, but move the item forward. And the item forward, to me, is really about inclusive economic development. How can we get more people involved in something that really is a positive to the city as we're going? So that was the point of what we were trying to do. Steve, I want to understand the, I don't have any problems with them, but I want to just ask if you could reiterate the changes that you're recommending within the motion, just to be clear.
Well, some of them I think there's discretion in the staff about related to, well, I think the clearest one is I'd like to see the fines reduced by 50%.
So fines, and then the 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock for the first 6 months, and based on the experience, I think after that, the staff could increase it to 12 if it seems like it's not a problem. But if it is a problem for a variety of reasons, and again, I'm most concerned about something happening in a packed venue between 10 and 12.
So those are the
size of the cart was a technical issue that I think we probably just need to address. And then the rest is really just enforcement, not enforcing on a cooler if it's not a trip hazard or something, ensuring that there are trash receptacles so that the carts are as good a neighbors as I know the vendors in the room are. And then just, I think Tessa said it best, is that the applications and the permits are a work in progress, and that we do, I'm not a big fan of bureaucracy, so whatever is the most efficient way to do the permits for multiple locations is probably the best.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Councilmember Chenier, before you continue, I see our city attorney is requesting to comment here.
Yes, Vice Mayor, I'd like Senior Deputy City Attorney Adrielle Anderson, who worked on this with staff, to comment, because there is a provision in state law that might actually not allow us to reduce the fines at this, as proposed.
Good evening, Council. Adrienne Anderson on behalf of the City Attorney's Office. So the state does have a set fine, as indicated, with $100 and $200 and $500 amount. That's the lowest. We could go as far as monetary. In the alternative, when somebody proves that they have an inability to pay, we can offer community service or something else rather than actually paying the fee, but we can't do anything lower than those fines.
How about, Tessa?
Oh, I just wanted to add to that, to reiterate, if they, the state does require us to consider ability to pay, and if they prove that they have reduced income, then we reduce the fines by 20%.
Can we make the first then a warning instead of a fine? Like a fix-it kind of thing, like they do if you don't have your license plate?
Council staff have a comment on that?
Do we have enforcement discretion to?
Let me look up the state law, but I'm pretty sure it says for the first fine, it's a for the first incident, it's a specific amount, then the second, and then thereafter, there's specific amounts that the state law provides. And then we have the option of doing the higher fine for a specific violation, which I believe the motion that Councilmember Chenier has takes that away. But I can get back to you.
Councilmember Hanson, let's table this particular conversation first, and let's move on other components of the ordinance.
I can finish, that'd be great. Maybe we can call it something other than an incident. Right? I think if there, maybe what you could do, and I'd like to make sure we move this forward, we spent a lot of time on this, if we can provide direction within that if it's possible to do that within state law, we go forward. The only thing, and I'm happy to second the motion, I just want to make one small change if I can, because one of the discussions we had, we know this will be a work in progress. And I believe one of the discussions we had was a check-in at 9 months. I think some of the folks in the room thought 6 months was too quick. So what I'd like to do, Steve, is rather than say 6 months, let's go 9 months first and then annually thereafter. So with that change, I'm happy to second this and look forward to it probably coming back at some point with some cleanup as we learn how to do this right.
And the maker of the motion has accepted that second there? Councilmember Chenier?
I'm going to accept my own second.
Very good. Councilmember Harris.
Thank you again, Vice Mayor. So generally, I'm fairly uncomfortable with carving up ordinance at the dais because that's why we have lawn ledge. But clearly, a lot of work has happened since our last this visited lawn ledge that I haven't been privy to. Although I do like the direction it's going, I think we've gotten pretty clear direction from attorney staff that we are limited in terms of altering the fines. And I'm a little hesitant to go down that road, but state law will determine where we go with that. We could micromanage this to the point where it just wouldn't be acceptable. For instance, cleaning up the language about what being responsible for trash means. Does a vendor have to carry a waste receptacle with them and so forth? But I think that if we do revisit after 9 months, that many things will be made clear about what kind of cleanups we have to do. And I'm also of a mind to move this forward after so much work has been expended. So I'll support the motion, but I think it was very important, and thank you, City Attorney, for bringing to light the issue about the fines, because we are governed by state law in this thing in its entirety. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Ashby.
There we go. Thank you, Eric. First of all, wanted to say good job to the Lawn Ledge group. This was, of course, something that caught all of our attention. We, as Councilmember Hansen said, we were all really upset about it. And so I know you all on Lawn Ledge have worked really hard. So good work. I think you brought us something meaningful, and hopefully that makes life easier and better for everyone. I agree with Councilmember Hansen's statements about the late night scene. I obviously represent Natomas, which is definitely not the late night scene, but I have an adult son who works in Midtown in Councilmember Hansen's district, and these guys are right. This town is really alive at that time, so we need to figure that piece out. It's something that I've been on this council long enough to say this. We tried for that. We've been trying for a long time to make Sacramento be alive, Midtown be alive at night. And so I think now we have it. It's a good problem to have. We're trying to figure out how to make all those pieces work together. So good for you guys for working through this. It does sound like there are a few pieces to be done, and I only wanted to chime in to say, first of all, good job to Lawn Ledge and the whole city crew for working on this. And second of all, to just say, in my experience in criminal cases like this, where this would be a very low-level infraction or offense, there is generally some relationship you could put together to have a diversion program that would be very simple. For example, in the instance of homelessness, when someone formerly was given a ticket for illegal camping, they could do a diversion program rather than pay a fine or do anything else. And that diversion program was simply that they had to get sign-off from one or two places that provide services to homeless people in the city, so that we knew, and they were given a directory of who those were, so that we knew that they were beginning to look for resources so that they wouldn't have the same problem again and the issues wouldn't stack up for them. RT had a similar issue many years ago. This is when I worked in the public defender's office, for people who rode RT without a ticket, because otherwise you would just be stacking hundreds of tickets on top of people. And instead, there was a diversion program that was like, hey, here are the places that give away free passes. Go visit one, bring us this back signed, and then this goes away for you. So my guess would be that if you worked with the public defender's office or the district attorney's office, that there would be a pretty simple diversion that you could plug into for this as well, that would allow somebody basically to prove that they now understand why they couldn't do what they did before, and then avoid the fine. The fine is held in suspension for if they receive a second problem, and I think that is fairly common in other infractions that are similar to this in the city. It shouldn't be too difficult for us to figure out. But when you come back on that portion of this item, that might be one thing that you could bring to the council as a potential solution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm a little uncomfortable with rewriting ordinances from the dais when we don't have a chance to look at them and consider them. I could get a little more comfortable if you would state what is the motion? What are all of the carve-outs and carve-ins?
Councilmember Hanson, if you could state the specific carve-outs. I know you gave a lot of direction, but what are the specific carve-outs?
The only hard changes, Larry, because the others just have to do with how it's going to work, and we're going to be back here in 9 months, are that we're working on something to improve the fine structure, and maybe we need a legislator to take that out of the state law, because I think the fines are punitive, but if we can't do anything about it, we're going to find other ways to deal with it. So it sounds like we can't change the fines tonight, but we're going to maybe find a better way to do that. And the only other change is that to use 10 p.m. as the mark for the entertainment venues until we have some information about how it's going, and then potentially move it to 12 at a later date.
And what's the rationale for that?
Safety, because if we have an incident inside a packed club and everybody has to get out and the carts are in the way, then that's a problem for people potentially trampling. And I mean, I don't want to be morose about this, but I have incidents that happen in my district at these venues, and we need to make sure that we're handling this in an appropriate way.
And
the size of the cart is the only other piece where it's a little small in the way the ordinance is drafted, and we heard from 2 members of the public that their carts wouldn't fit that definition.
So we're changing the size of the carts as well?
Just technical amendment. Yes, correct, yes.
And did you make a change to the staff report?
Councilmember
Yeah.
Senior.
So we met with a number of the associations and some of the constituents. Chris was there as well, to try to work out a compromise to get as close as we could to happiness. We got probably about 85% there. So that's what's being presented from the staff. And that's the difference from Law and Ledge to here. And we said at Law and Ledge that we would come back, that we would continue to meet with the stakeholders to try to find something that we could do where basically the event people are happy and we're still promoting kind of an inclusive ability for people to do vending.
You know, I don't know if I object or not, but I hope you can understand how those of us who are not on Law and Ledge might have a difficult time following this conversation. And one would hope that after it came out of Law and Ledge, at least the people from Law and Ledge who forwarded it to the council would be in agreement with it, and we wouldn't have these long discussions about it. And if we have to do that, maybe it needs to go back and be reworked. So we can get right with it, so we can bring a recommendation that does not require substantial changes. And if the only change is from 12 to 10 and some technical changes on the size of carts, I would have hoped that would have been worked out in Law and Ledge, but I can accept it if those are the only 2 changes that I'm hearing.
That's all we're asking for now.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. And I do see that there's, from the members of the Law and Ledge Committee, that they're in agreement of this direction. One thing that I do want to thank the members of the public is the folks who are taking advantage, by and large, of this opportunity. Don't follow the political process to the T of tracking Law and Ledge and everything we do here. And so, I know they've got, because they're actually selling good food, and so they're working. And so I think that what I want to underscore by this point is that our city staff, our council office staff have done a tremendous amount of work to go out and talk to the public, talk to our food vendors, and get them engaged, even as we're moving through the process, so that they're involved at every level. And I have a feeling we will also continue to see more after this situation here.
Can I add one thing to it?
Yeah, Councilmember Chenier.
I mean, one thing, and this is not a huge issue for the city, but it's complicated and it's an important issue for the city. I don't think we can ever do too much outreach. And so this is really a case where the stakeholders continue to talk to us after Law and Ledge, and it continued, I think, to get better, to really refine what we were doing. We need to always work with those who are most impacted by the policies that we make, and this is a real classic case of doing that. So that's where we are.
And I do, again, I want to thank my colleagues. You know, when the incident happened at El Santuario de Guadalupe, Southside Park, that's where we baptized my son. And it's been a church that's been home to many of those in need, many who have come to our city and are looking for opportunity, those of low income. And it was sad to see that that was happening when folks were trying to do something to make a living. And so I want to thank all of the food vendors, all of the organizers who became engaged at that point. And I can see we're adding to that coalition. I just got back from Barcelona and Spain for the holidays with my family, and to see the richness of food vendors that they have over there, along with their businesses and establishments who have their restaurants, it made it such a rich place. I mean, families were coming out all through the evening at an amazing time to enjoy the holidays, regardless of the weather. And I could see that happening here in Sacramento. So first, again, this is an opportunity, one that creates a balanced approach for safety, both health and safety. I see our counterparts of the county here. I want to thank the county folks for also helping us find this effort. I know there's still more work to do on that front, some of it which is restricted by the state law, and we may be reaching out to our folks at the state level to help us with that, but also to balance public safety. We want opportunities for folks with public safety. I see we have questions from staff here on clarification. Yes, Tessa.
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor. Just to clarify the size change, I think based on what I heard from the community members, if we did 12 feet long, 9 feet in width, and 10 feet high, that would meet what they've requested. So I just want to make sure that's the size change everyone's comfortable. Thank you very much.
Maker of the motions approves, seconder approves. Good. Thank you, Tessa, again. And again, so I want to thank everyone for it. Mil gracias para todos los que participaron. Ya sé que era un proceso difícil y largo, pero uno que vamos a continuar. Pero si continuamos el trabajo junto, vamos a tratar de avanzar esta oportunidad para muchos aquí de la comunidad. With that, since there are no members of the council wishing to speak, we'll go ahead and take a vote on this. All those in favor of the item, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, measure passes. Madam Clerk?
The next item is number 21, establish a facility fee for events held at the Safe Credit Union Performing Arts Center. And Mr. Vice Mayor, I have no speakers on this item.
Good evening, Vice.
It's been moved and approved to open and close public hearing on the item. It's been seconded. Is there anything that needs to be read into the record?
Thank you very much. Happy New Year.
Great, thank you. That was a great report. Oh, hold on one moment. There are no members of the public wishing to speak, but we do have a question from Councilmember Harris. Councilmember Harris.
Yeah, so in the staff report, you know, the idea is to move the per ticket fee from $3 to $4. And it said in the staff report, commensurate with other venues in the area. So can you tell me what the fees are at Harris Center or Mondavi and how they compare?
Sure. So at the Harris, good evening. My name is Matthew Voyer. I'm the general manager for the Safe Credit Union Convention Center, the Safe Credit Union Performing Arts Center, and the Historic Memorial Auditorium. So the Harris Center for the Performing Arts in Folsom has a $4 fee. The Mondavi Center for the Performing Arts in Davis has a $10 surcharge, $4 of which goes to the facility fee, and the Wells Fargo Pavilion here in Sacramento has a $5 facility fee.
Okay, thank you. That satisfies my question.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Harris. Since there are no members of the council wishing to speak, it's been properly moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Measure passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Yes.
Next item is 22, review and approval of city, state, and federal legislative platform.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Vice Mayor and council members. Consuelo Hernandez, Director of Governmental Affairs, and I'm here tonight asking for approval of the city's 2020 legislative platform. As you know, the legislative platform lays out the city's policy agenda for the year and provides guidance for our lobbying efforts. If a particular proposal fits under one of our stated goals, we can move quickly to lobby on it without needing to come to the Law and Legislation Committee or Council for approval. The 2020 platform contains many of our perennial issues, such as advocating for new housing and ending homelessness, maintaining public safety, developing an inclusive economy, amongst others. We do have some newer updated items in the platform before you. We updated language pertaining to mental health, so now instead of saying, we've changed the language to use behavioral health, which encompasses not only mental health but addiction-related issues. We recognize the link between housing and health and working to integrate both types of services. Supporting the development of industry clusters that foster clean transportation and workforce development. Diversifying mobility options, updating police oversight language to prioritize independent investigations and transparency, increasing opportunities for youth and families to engage civically and in their communities. I also received from the Youth Commission a request to add a goal of decriminalizing cannabis use at the federal level, so that's included in there as well. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Ms. Hernandez. Do we have any members of the public signed up to speak? We have no members of the public signed up to speak. Councilmember Hanson.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor. I just want to thank Consuelo for all of her hard work on this. We did have a lengthy discussion at Lawn Ledge about it, and I think what's really exciting is now with your work, Consuelo, our lobbying team, and the coordination that we're working on with other agencies and their legislative staff, I think Sacramento's finally going to be well-positioned in the Capitol this legislative session and beyond to really make a big difference for our community, and it's a testament to your hard work and to the work of, certainly our mayor, who's not here, but would be very proud of this, and of you, Mr. Chair of Lawn Ledge, you, Mr. Vice Mayor, who works over there, and the rest of us who care about it. So thank you for your hard work, and I'll move the item.
It's been properly moved and seconded. Councilmember Carr.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. You just heard this previous conversation about the food vendors, where reasonable restrictions were placed around where you could have these vendors. It occurs to me the state has not adopted such a restriction for low-barrier homeless shelters. So what I'd be interested in seeing is the city supporting reasonable restrictions around sensitive locations where you could put a low-barrier shelter.
Okay, Councilmember Ashby.
Thank you. This may be more for you, City Manager, than it is for Consuelo, although I would imagine we couldn't do it without her leadership. But the mayor has mentioned multiple times that we should do a lobbying trip locally here, basically go over to the Capitol and start lobbying. And both the mayor and Councilmember Hanson have been vocal in the media about this. And I think I think they're right. But I also think we need to do it. So I'm taking this opportunity to say, could you please come back and tell us how you might, as staff, coordinate a lobby day at the Capitol for us as council members to participate in, and maybe we can use our legislative platform as sort of what we want to focus on when we're over there. I'm sure homelessness will top the list and infrastructure dollars, but how we can go fight for those bridges and fight for the redevelopment dollars and fight for housing funds. We want those things, but we need somebody on your team, Howard, probably you, Consuelo, to start to put together a way that we could do that and how we could participate. And it probably would mean meeting with each council member to figure out what their level of comfort is on some of that. But I think it's important, and I don't want to just have us talking about wanting to do it and not actually taking the step forward to go do it. So I thought I'd bring it up today.
Great.
Field trip across the street.
Thank you very much, Councilmember. The only thing I want to thank Consuelo, for this great work. I think your history and your expertise and your years of work in the legislature is helping our city become more effective on this. I do want to, thank our members who are on SACOG, and because I know that to be effective in the legislature, we have to work as a region to be able to convey what the needs are. Our city functions in a regional economy, and so in order for us to address the issues of homelessness, of transportation, congestion, equity. We have to work with our regional partners or other cities if we're going to make a difference. And I know that you and your colleagues and your counterparts are working on that in itself, because if we go at it alone, I don't think we're going to have any success. What this platform does is it puts the city in a leadership role, in a strong role for a lot of the values that people have. And so I want to thank my colleagues for all the input that they put into this when it comes to workforce, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to the future technology, and addressing issues of working families, like the issue of childcare, part of this in here. So with that, I want to thank my colleagues and staff on this. Since there's no one else signed up to speak, it's been properly moved and seconded. So I'll ask for a vote here. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed? Measure passes.
Thank you.
Next item is number 23, Citywide Youth Development Brief.
We're good? Okay, thank you. Good evening, Vice Mayor, Council, City Manager. I'm up here to talk to you tonight about something near and dear to our hearts, which is our youth development project here that we've been doing in the city. So about 4 years ago, I appeared before you as the Director of Parks and Recreation, and I received a bold proposal from you to be more effective and comprehensive and cohesive in how we did youth development programs. Since that time, your city staff have accomplished much to meet your intent and the needs of our city youth. This afternoon, we're going to cover, or this evening, we're going to cover some of that detail, but it's important to consider where we started. 4 years ago, we did not have a citywide youth development plan. We now do by your unanimous approval. In 2016, our Parks and Recreation Department was still recovering from the recession, managing a severely diminished youth development program portfolio and operating with a strategic plan written in 2005. The entire department has now been completely reorganized as Youth Parks and Community Enrichment under a freshly written youth development focused strategic plan. We've invested in youth development policy manager in the city manager's office, Lindy Lane, with a focus on synchronizing and optimizing all the city's youth development programs and pathways to create a seamless opportunity from cradle to career for all our young residents. Additionally, the city has harnessed innovative initiatives like 1,000 Strong, youth workforce development as a critical element of our inclusive economic development plan, all to ensure the potential of our youth are not lost when they turn 18. An essential part of any organizational evolution is culture change. It's easy to shuffle organization charts and write new policy. It can take a generation to change embedded habits and muscle memory. Our city has also invested heavily in readapting our culture of youth development through a robust training program. We're creating common context and a lexicon in a collaborative forum for all that are involved. One aspect of that culture shift is fully recognizing the relationship between proactive youth development and public safety. I'm here today as a physical and philosophical representation of that commitment. My portfolio as Assistant City Manager includes police, fire, emergency management, as well as youth, parks and community enrichment, youth development, violence prevention, and homelessness. This is a yin and yang relationship. Proactivity balanced with emergency response, which you will see duplicated within the internal operations of the same departments that I oversee, as well as several other departments throughout the city. This evening, you're going to hear about how all these parts work together, how we intend to broaden the scope within both city resources and with our community-based partners. And you'll also be briefed on plans to ensure those efforts are measured and monitored for quality assurance, as well as technologies to make our resources more available to our residents. I'm going to turn this over now to our new Director of Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment, Mario Lara.
Good evening, Mr. Lara. And before we get going here, I want to recognize some local leaders here. I see some warriors in the room, to be specific, some Hiram Johnson High School warriors. Let's give them a big round of applause here. Thank you, Mr. Lara.
Thank you. Good evening, Vice Mayor, and good evening, Council, City Manager, and staff. Again, my name is Mario Lara. I'm the Director of the Youth, Parks, Community Enrichment Department. I've been on board for 4 months now, so I am still very much in observation and learning mode. And the diagram before you was helpful for me. It was started as a sketch as I was trying to understand the City of Sacramento's delivery of youth programs and services, and hopefully it will offer useful perspective to you as council members and to the public as well. What it illustrates, at least for me, is the current state of play as it relates to the City of Sacramento's robust investment in youth programs and services. Clearly, it shows that that investment is spread across multiple agencies. This diagram is not exhaustive by any means, and it doesn't attempt to capture it all, but it does kind of capture, I think, the broadness of scope of services. There are multiple external as well as multiple internal agencies that are involved in the delivery of youth programs and services. Of course, this makes sense. No one agency could do it all. We have a diverse community, and therefore it makes sense that we have a diverse mode of delivering services to that community. Obviously, this requires a lot of coordination and communication to avoid duplication of efforts and to ensure that the quality is consistent and to a high standard. The Youth, Parks, Community Enrichment Department, as Chris mentioned, went through significant reorganization and alignment towards accomplishing that, and in close coordination with the Youth Development Policy Manager. It serves as the lead agency in terms of delivering youth programs and services to the community. And it's responsible for good stewardship of the resources, coordination within the various stakeholders that you see represented in that diagram, again, not an exhaustive list, development of quality standards and consistency, and creating pathways for the youth to be able to easily access our programs and services and navigate the various programs and services. Tonight, we have several members here who will be participating in this presentation. The next few slides will highlight some of the coordination and training work that has been undertaken to move us towards greater cohesion among the various agencies, as well as developing higher quality standards for our youth development programs and services.
Good evening, Vice Mayor, council members. Lindy Lane, your Youth Development Policy Manager. Very excited to be here before you. I'm going to be providing the bulk of our updates this evening. And with that, we do have several partners and folks that are going to be speaking. So to keep me focused and to keep us on track, I'm going to be exercising my stellar reading abilities here. Largely, I just want to say thank you for your continued support of this work. You know, as we work to lay the foundation and build the scaffolding around this paradigm shift in the way that we're doing business and serving our young people, you know, your support is extremely important. If it weren't for the contribution of many of folks in this room, I wouldn't have come full circle back home to Sacramento because I wanted to be a part of it. My personal dedication to the healthy development of our young folks was reflected back to me through the essence of the citywide youth development plan, which is the catalyst for all of this work. And the level of commitment that I saw at the highest levels of leadership here in Sacramento was very unique. And I was impressed by that. I was not wrong. Chris and Mario just described the reorganization of an entire department to centralize the lion's share of our youth services and programs here in the city. And the reason for that was to consolidate those programs and to be able to ease integration of the citywide youth development plan. Still, however, Several plans, or several programs and city-run programs and city investments in youth programs exist outside of the youth division. So as the city's first youth development policy manager, my primary role has been to facilitate cohesion across these systems and programs that touch our young people. While it became clear to me right away that we had a lot of work to do to create enterprise-wide systems and structures to support this paradigm shift, the level of commitment from this administration and willingness of my colleagues to break down silos in support of the systems change work has inspired me and kept me motivated. This plan is not just one broad shift in our culture. This citywide plan integration is a broad charge, and it involves multiple systems, players, and it takes place in phases. But no single individual program or agency can do it alone, as you can see from the diagram that Mario showed you, nor can we do it in silos. It's a highly collaborative process, and our work has been driven and marked by immense change, increased collaboration, improved coordination. Today, we're going to provide high-level updates on many of our collaborative efforts so far. These updates will provide clarity on where our collective time has been focused. So the vision of our citywide plan is that all Sacramento children and youth are valued and reach their fullest potential, guided by our mission that the City of Sacramento leads collaboratively to provide systemic and sustainable investments and opportunities, harnessing collective assets to champion intentional and equitable pathways for young people to succeed. The citywide plan and framework guides and pushes us to be more deliberate and strategic about how we're implementing our programs. To do this requires us to adjust and in many cases adopt new systems. The plan does not simply call for increased investments, it equally calls for increasing the quality of those investments. And because of this, we have focused a lot on Goal 8, which is to implement the youth development framework in all program design, operations, and evaluations. While the city is organizing itself in accord with this mission and the tenets of the plan, better enabling us to be a good partner and resource to the broader youth-serving field, my initial priority has been to get our house in order first, including alignment and capacity building to support and sustain these efforts. I work closely with, and my work really relies on, the infrastructure of the newly formed YPSI Youth Division to pilot plan integration strategies. The Youth Division and my other youth development colleagues play key roles supporting all efforts in this space. To this end, sustainable strides have been made, particularly through better alignment between existing programs and systems. So our interdepartmental youth program groups meet regularly to share best practices, reduce duplication, and leverage existing resources across formerly siloed systems. Today, we're going to highlight the Big Three, which represents unprecedented alignment between fire, police, the youth division, and the city manager's office. Creating intentional time and space for meaningful relationship building has been indispensable around leveraging collective time and resources to better serve our young people and strengthen our pipeline to success. This group is working to deliberately integrate the citywide framework, as well as working with me to inform citywide plan implementation strategies. All members have participated in cross-department training and have graduated the Youth Development Institute, the Youth Division's signature training. Members also serve as connectors across other city plans and initiatives, which I'll talk more about later. For now, I'm gonna pass it over to Big Three members, Monica and Kim, so they can share a significant milestone resulting from this partnership.
I too am going to use my reading abilities. I have one slide, so I'm going to try to sum it all up. Sacramento Fire Department has a number of career pathways that we've put together. We're most proud of our Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy program. We couldn't have done this without the partnerships of YPSI and SAC-PD, who have done this for many, many years. We're new in this, and I feel so fortunate that we decided to get into youth programming when there's some solid supports in place that we've been able to program into our programs as well. We use the Youth Development Initiative, and we also use the 5 supports and opportunities for our program. Sacramento Regional Youth Academy is partnered with Solutions for At-Risk Youth. We call them Safari. They have a Firefighter Youth Academy program that's focused on academic achievement, community service, and self-discipline. We also have additional partnerships through Sac City Unified and Elk Grove Unified School Districts. Also, our biggest partner, again, is YPSI. All of our staff have attended the Youth Development Institute. That's one of the requirements that our academy directors that partake in the Youth Development Institute. It's a 9-month program. We have 35 cadets. We recruit from local schools, and it runs through the summer months by design. So we recruit towards the end of the school year, we run it through the summer, and it continues into the school year. It's free to all students, and it includes lunch. They give up their Saturdays from 8 a.m. to, 9 a.m. to 2. The youth leadership come in at 8 a.m. And it's focused on growing our own. We're growing our own, we're Sacramento community-centric, and we're cultivating homegrown talent. We're also providing leadership opportunities for the youth. The program's heavily youth-led with a rank structure mirrored in the fire service. Youth who want to take on leadership positions must also attend YDI. We currently have 13 youth in our program that have completed YDI. Our cadet leadership is currently working on a cadet manual that will be passed on to future academies. With that, I'm going to let Cadet Yang speak a little bit about her role at the academy and how it's been for her.
Good evening. I'm Cadet Deputy Chief Melina Yang, and I'm the head cadet in charge at the Firefighter Youth Academy. I want to share with you my experience and my perspective as a cadet in the academy with you today. I was always a strong leader back in my school at Hiram Johnson, being the group commander in my ROTC program and the captain of my sports teams. So being in this program and being able to exercise my skills as a leader definitely increases and improves me learning more about myself and how to handle situations in the future. In the program, you start off as being a follower, learning how to listen and understand the fundamentals of what it is to be a cadet in the program. In the academy, no one is left behind. We are taught honor, courage, commitment, respect, and devotion to duty. We say it every day, implement it in our chants, and live by it. We are pushed to our limits from the physical activities we do as individuals and as teams. Every week, we're learning something new about the fire department, meeting firefighters and paramedics across the city, helping out at Station 4, and doing team bonding activities that help us grow as a family. The most important lesson that we learn from being in the academy is that if one of us struggles, we all struggle. This program is the future of our generation, building and developing future leaders for our nation and community. Thank you. My name is Cadet Deputy Chief Yang, and I am proud to be part of the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy.
Well, thank you, Cadet Chief Yang, for being here today. Let's give her a big round of applause for her leadership.
Thank you. And as you can see, we focus on creating youth voice. We have a number of leaders that are very participatory and really help us run the program. They run the program. They have high participation in making decisions. We work together on things that we're going to do, and we involve the youth in that. And they are going to be working on awards committees, events committees, and as I mentioned before, working on the cadet manual. We're teaching them public safety. We give them first aid, we give them CPR, we talk about earthquake preparedness, plus all the fun stuff that firefighters do with on-duty fire crews coming out, and they get to flow water and go in smoked up theatrical smoke buildings in gear as the picture dictates. And they just have a really, we try to teach them our career while providing a fun time for them. We're also working on them forming camaraderie amongst friends. There's a lot of team building activities. One of the goals that the cadets decided on their own was that they wanted to learn everybody's name, and so they have team building exercises where they have to create ways to recite each of their fellow cadets' names. The Recruit Academy structure is divided into companies and battalions, so there's friendly competition. And many high schools are represented. We've got Johnson, Florin, Valley, Health Professions, West Campus, Rosemont, Antelope, Alpha Tech. So we have a number of schools represented in our academy. And then really importantly is we're providing opportunities to learn about and prepare for a fire service career. And that's, one of our, that was our key reason for going in, and fortunately we learned so many other important things that we need to do with youth. But we're creating mentorship opportunities. This is the typical way that the traditional fire service brings new members into the workforce. And we're creating these mentorship opportunities in our own community with our own youth, so that they can serve in their community if that's the direction they choose to go. And for us, this is historically, the youth represented, they are historically underrepresented in our workforce. And we feel that we're creating some really solid partnerships to allow for the information that's needed for what the next steps are should they choose a fire service career. One of the things that I do want to say is that our youth programs are in jeopardy for the fire department. We really don't have any funded, any additional funding. We're scraping it together however we can. The next academy should be scheduled for May, but we're putting it on hold because it's high, it requires a lot of staffing to run each weekend, and requires overtime and directors to be there and be present. But I want to say that, I wanted to highlight this program and really emphasize the fact that none of this could have been done without the partnerships of YIBC, leaning into SAC PD, asking them how they do their programs, and really getting that support and encouragement from them. With that, I'm going to pass it off to Monica Blanco to talk about our partnership with YIBC and our WIOA program. Thank you.
Okay, I think we have a question here from Councilmember Carr before we continue.
Quick question. I think you may have answered this. Do you have the capacity to expand this program to Luther Burbank High School?
Yeah, absolutely. We focus on a couple of, we target schools, and youth come in from other areas. Whoever wants to apply can apply. We're limited how many recruitment events we could do. We tried to get into Luther Burbank earlier. We have really good support from Hiram Johnson, so it made it easy. But we definitely want to get some of the north schools. We've gone to Grant before as well, but we didn't get as many youth that wanted to.
You had difficulty with getting into Burbank?
At our early efforts, yes. I think we're a lot more solid in how we do this and who to reach out to. And if you have a good contact, we'd be more than happy.
Can you reach out to me and I will
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember Ashby.
Yeah, I want to be careful how I say this because I think maybe I'm just misunderstanding the line item. This is a great program, and Lindy is amazing. I'm so glad that you are with the city. And probably of all the things that Chris talked about that we didn't have 4 years ago, the most important is probably you, because you've coordinated all these things. But this is not intended to be like an all-inclusive presentation on the youth programs, right? Because this is just one program that the fire department's doing. It's not even the biggest program that they're doing with youth. And I guess I just want to understand what the expectation of the presentation is tonight, because you sort of set it up as broad, Chris, to say, hey, we're trying, these are all the things we're doing. And I guess this is a great program, and I'm really happy to hear about it, but it's tiny in terms of how much.
Which is a great point.
Okay.
The reason that we decided to highlight this program is to show you the value and breaking down the silos and the collaborative efforts that we've been able to, benefit from thus far.
I'm good with it, and I love hearing about it. I just don't want anyone to walk away today thinking that the fire department does one program and it has 35 kids in it. I mean, last year they opened an entire high school program that's like got Yeah, okay. So I just want to make sure I understood
Yeah.
what, you
No.
picked, you chose a few to give us as examples.
This is a highlight of the partnership between the Sacramento Fire Academy, or the Fire Academy, the Youth Academy, and WIOA, which is a YPSI
So
program.
you're just giving a few examples. Got it, okay. Then great, I appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't mean to, I was just trying to understand exactly what the goal is.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Monica Blanco, and I am the Interim Youth Division Manager. And I wanted to take a minute to highlight, hold on, our Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, otherwise known as our WIOA program. So first and foremost, what is it? It is a federally funded strength-based program that provides paid training and work experience to high school seniors who have the greatest of needs. Young people with specific barriers to academics and employment, such as foster youth, youth who are pregnant and or parenting, homeless, experiencing the juvenile justice system, English as a second language, or have a form of disability meet eligibility. The role of WIOA is to connect young people to high-demand, high-wage employment, and this is accomplished through partnerships with local government, private business, and hospitality industries. WIOA staff are trained and practice the youth development framework, and young people are supported through the 5 supports and opportunities of safety, relationship building, youth engagement, community involvement, and relevant skill building. In the spring of 2019, the city's youth workforce development staff responded to a request for proposal, and our proposal, along with one other agency, scored as ranked #1 for in-school youth programming. Unfortunately, only out-of-school youth programs were being recommended for funding, and in-school youth providers were not identified for funding at that time. Through advocacy and support by the youth workforce development staff and council members Chenier and Carr, the city's WIOA program, along with the other agencies' in-school youth program, received funding. The funding awarded has allowed us to create a public safety career pathway in partnership with the fire department that directly connects high school seniors to college-level academics and careers within the fire department. Cadets within the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy, who are high school seniors and meet eligibility, receive paid training and work experience focused on industry standards and requirements so they may gain skills that prepare them for a career as a firefighter. Cadets also receive support services which provide them uniforms free of charge. The academy goals perfectly align with the goals of WIOA. The partnership between the Youth Division and the Fire Department exists due to the relationships that have been built within the Big Three and the work that has been done to break down silos and increase alignment of youth programs, leverage resources, and share best practices.
Thanks, Monica. Before we move on, I just definitely want to shout out some of our other Big Three members that are here for moral support today in the audience. We have Lieutenant Stephen Moore back there and retired annuitant Kim Moeller. So, I mean, it's clear that there's value in breaking down these silos, working across departments. But I just do want to caution that there's a threshold to progress when we're simply leveraging existing resources. There's much value in just alignment alone in terms of sharing and learning and reducing duplication. But additional progress will be limited without resources to support operationalizing and institutionalizing the strategies and ideas identified by these groups. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about the citywide youth development framework for children and youth programs. I think we can all agree that investing in the successful development of our youngest residents yields a huge ROI for the city. And the city has been doing a great job emphasizing a youth-forward focus, but how do we define healthy youth development? There are many models of youth development that are backed by rigor and research, just like the models, like workforce models, economic development models, but for some reason, youth development doesn't get spoken about with the same level of fidelity as these other types of models. Research-based frameworks like ours are tried and true, and no matter the trends in the field, the basic tenets of this framework do not change. Our framework summarizes existing knowledge, helps us establish shared language and measures, and more intentional program design. It also provides a direction and focus for program evaluation. Regardless of program content, the youth development approach helps keeps the focus on the developmental outcomes we want for young people and the key experiences we can provide to help them reach those outcomes. With our approach, these experiences are provided through the framework's social justice principles and 5 supports and opportunities outlined on the slide. These are evidence-backed conditions that we know young people need for healthy development, and when intentionally and consistently applied, contribute to high-quality programs. They provide clear standards that can be applied to all programs, regardless of the program's content, and used to measure program effectiveness, to which we can hold our programs accountable. When discussing youth priorities, increased investments are essential, and since plan adoption, the city has done just that, increased our investments in young people. But funding on its own is not enough to reach the goals laid out in the youth development policies and plans we've adopted. We must also deliberately and consistently provide high-quality supports, opportunities, and experiences for our young people. Why? Because over 50 years of youth development research proves that only high-quality programs produce positive youth development outcomes. And that evidence is exactly what the plan is steeped in. These outcomes can include academic learning, social emotional learning, changes in behavior, and increased interest and engagement in learning. But programs rated as low quality do not show impact. So guided by this body of evidence and with key pieces in place, the city has begun defining and assessing quality measures. The Youth Division has adopted the framework's 5 supports and opportunities as minimum quality standards for youth programs to define and drive quality. Focusing on quality does not imply that quality programming is not happening. This is not a conversation about deficit. This is about asset-based continuous improvement approach that asks, what are we doing well? Let's increase that. What can we improve on? Let's strengthen that. So clearly, we believe that through building our internal systems and structures to support high-quality youth development experiences, we're laying the necessary foundation to make our vision a reality so that all Sacramento children and youth reach their fullest potential. We also believe that as the city continues to integrate the plan, enhance youth programming, and increase investments, a focus on quality is paramount. Many of our system design efforts to support the plan are encapsulated in the continuous quality improvement model, which you see before you. The city's position here is to build and promote a CQI system in accord with our framework that helps us define quality, assess quality, and support quality across programs and systems. In accord with our mission that all partners and stakeholders ultimately adopt the youth development framework, as we design our CQI system, inclusivity and balance are at the core, making sure we are holding space for the wide variety of programs serving the spectrum of age ranges and at different levels of experience with evaluation. Our intent is to design elements that are universal and easy to apply. Indeed, our 5 supports and opportunities as core minimum standards is focused and manageable, and it's a great foundation for the SAC youth field to get really good at. Integral to a CQI system is a continuous improvement feedback loop where regular assessment constantly informs the type of supports that are needed. A comprehensive CQI system affects outcomes for staff, programs, and youth, where ongoing professional development increases staff engagement and capacity to provide quality programs and experiences for youth, leading to long-term outcomes. Monica's gonna go ahead and share some of our efforts related to program-level CQI.
So first off, I'd like to talk about the Youth Development Institute, or YDI. So highlight what that is. And the Youth Development Institute is a 3-day intensive training that is grounded in the principles of the citywide youth development framework, led by a facilitation team of internal staff. What the citywide youth development framework does is provide us with a common language and standards, which enables us to be more intentional about ensuring all programs are rich in the 5 supports and opportunities. Once again, they're safety, relationship building, youth engagement, community involvement, and skill building. We have moved from offering YDI training on an as-needed basis to expanding delivery to 3 YDIs annually over the past 2 years. Each training has a capacity of 40 participants, and we have consistently had waiting lists for the last 3 training sessions. More than 100 youth practitioners annually are receiving 20-plus hours of training on implementing the city's youth development framework for practice. YDI has expanded far beyond youth parks and community enrichment. We have trained staff from the Sacramento Police Department, Fire Department, City Council, public libraries, Sacramento Metro Arts, various youth-serving CBOs, and young people. In addition to professional development for practitioners, we are strengthening and broadening our network to support youth. To support our CBO partners, we are identifying 15 slots per YDI for CBO teams. We're also working to increase capacity to deliver additional youth development training and customize to meet needs of CBOs. Our goal is that all youth programs funded by the city will have staff trained on the youth development framework, speak a common language, and operate with common standards. To talk a little bit about program quality assessment, or PQA, research reveals, as Lindy said, that only high-quality youth programs produce positive youth development outcomes. Typically, when increased funding becomes available, we have focused on providing more youth programs and opportunities. We need to equally commit to ensuring that our youth programs are also high quality. We are achieving this through expanding youth development training, as I just discussed, and developing program quality standards, assessment, and action planning for continuous improvement. We have contracted with the Youth Development Network, also known as YDN, to assist us with a comprehensive process that includes participant assessment, self-observation slash assessment, and external assessment. To accomplish this, we are taking a 2-pronged approach. Number 1, YDI is conducting an in-depth external assessment of how youth are experiencing the 5 supports and opportunities of the Youth Development Framework in our programs. And 2, working with YDN and the Weichert Center for Youth Program Quality to train youth parks and community enrichment staff to assess programs and coach on improving youth experiences. The first of these trainings were offered at the beginning of December, and 10 internal staff attended. The first cohort of 4 programs is undergoing the assessment process now, which is the Youth Firefighter Academy, the Oak Park Community Center Hotspot Program, Bancroft 4th R, and the Sacramento Youth Commission. Our goal is that all youth programs will undergo PQA and develop action plans to strengthen youth experiences. Lastly, we've only been able to achieve this due to the dedicated and committed staff that have stepped forward to be YDI trainers and PQA observers. This requires a tremendous commitment and substantial additional workload. Thank you.
So I'm going to go ahead and read the room. I was going to talk about systems level CQI. And you know, continuous quality improvement and evaluation is not always the most exciting topic, right? It's exciting to me because I know what comes on the other end of that, right? But I'm gonna go ahead and, so the 3 things that I was going to talk about was stakeholder engagement, common criteria and standards for youth development that we're working with an expert evaluator to develop, and our citywide youth data portal. So if anybody has questions around those 3 topics, feel free to ask at the end or let me know. But I'm gonna go ahead and move on to some of the collaborative projects that we're working on, more discrete projects that we're working on in 2019. So in line with the goals of the Citywide Youth Development Plan, I'm going to highlight these new projects in 2019. They're all collaborative, multi-department or multi-agency collaborations, establishing partnerships that will endure well beyond the expiration of these discrete projects. Kindergarten to college savings account programs represent a partnership between the city, particularly me, the mayor's office, and United Way California Capital Region. Research shows that students with any college savings account in their name are 3 times more likely to go to college. That was kind of enough for us. We wanted to go ahead and invest in this program that has shown a lot of success in other cities. It was really launched in San Francisco by our now governor when he was mayor of San Francisco. So they have a little bit of longitudinal data showing the impact of this program. The goal of the program is to make higher education more accessible by opening college seat accounts for kindergartners. So this year, as I mentioned, we partnered with United Way, and we're continuing to pursue this equity-based mission by enhancing and expanding the K2C program here locally. Through a state grant and supplemental match by the city, the program will now serve a third more schools than previously in the city. Since rollout, over 200 students in Robles School District now have accounts. Before program enhancements were made, enrollment was less than 50 in that school district. A large part of the success is due to the addition of dedicated staff, which we were able to get through the additional funding. So this program has been successful, as I mentioned, in other cities, and as we demonstrate success here at home, it can easily be applied universally to help boost educational attainment citywide. The next project I want to highlight is our National League of Cities City Leadership for Building an Early Learning Nation initiative, and this is a project represented by a partnership between the city and Sacramento libraries with technical support from National League of Cities. And through this work, we're exploring how the city's role and what the city's role can be in improving early learning and care outcomes. Overwhelming evidence shows that children who enter kindergarten behind are likely to remain behind throughout their educational careers and beyond. And childcare is one of the biggest expenses that families face. It's even less affordable for low-wage workers and families with infants. Additionally, quality childcare provides early learning environments that prepare our children to enter school ready to learn. As part of this work, the city team is in partnership with NLC is planning and hosting an early learning and childcare summit for Sacramento, taking place next Wednesday, January 15th, from 8:30 to 12:30 at the Library Galleria. So we have city representatives joining us from previous Early Learning Nation cohorts who've made significant progress in their cities so that we can learn about their efforts. We also have a local landscape panel and a state and national panel with our featured speaker, Chris Perry from the governor's office. So you are our targeted audience, our policy and decision makers here in the city. And so, I'd like to formally request that you join us. Your offices have received the invitation. NLC has graciously offered to come out a day early and do some one-on-one meetings. Unfortunately, that's a council day. It's early council day on the 14th. So you've also heard from our team trying to plan meetings with your offices as well. But we are holding in the Mayor Council conference room at 11 o'clock on January 14th, an opportunity for anybody to come by at 11 if you're available. So our next project was through a partnership with Innovative Pathways to Public Service. As part of that collaborative, so the city youth development representatives and human resource representatives have been attending this collaborative for about a year now. And one of the significant projects that culminated from this collaborative was an event called Careers in Public Service Day. And it's designed to expose high school students to the variety of careers in the public sector and to help them understand what the government does and how they can engage civically in their communities. So in November, 50 students from Hiram Johnson toured the 24th Street Courtyard, heard from city employees and leaders about their professional journeys and what it's like to work for the city. Students also received a ton of information about the city's youth programs during a Lunch and Learn resource fair. The event and partnership were so successful that Human Resources has taken the lead, and they want to make this an annual event that they'll be leading for the city. And the final project that I'd like to highlight is our youth work-based learning pipeline. It's really about our coordination efforts in this space because there's so many conversations happening right now in the city around workforce. Big Three members significantly informed a set of recommendations developed to guide the city's efforts to functionally align and integrate youth-based work-based learning in the city's broader workforce development strategies. I'm sure it's clear by now, Big Three members intentionally serve as youth development dot connectors across other city plans and initiatives, including the many workforce development discussions. Monica and I participate on the Mayor's Workforce Collective and other workforce strategy discussions led by the Office of Innovation and Economic Development. Kim Iannucci is a member of the city's Government Alliance on Race and Equity cohort, led by our Diversity and Equity Manager, Ami Barnes. As part of the city action plan the cohort is developing, Kim brought a youth development lens to the conversation and helped develop 3 youth-specific workforce goals designed in accord with the citywide youth development plan and informed by our youth work-based learning recommendations. That was a lot of information. I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share, download all that. At this point, I'm gonna pass it over to Chris and Mario so they can wrap this up, talking about how do we sustain all of these efforts. I'll work this for you.
Thank you, and thanks for everybody's patience. So in answer to the council member's question earlier, you're just seeing one snapshot. That's why you're just seeing one snapshot. We showed you one program. We could be here for hours, days if we showed all of them. And that's getting back to the mosaic you saw that Mario put up there a couple of minutes ago. Finish off, so how do you help us achieve the same common goals? A couple of things that we just want to bring up, if you can hit the next one. Budget cycle, everybody loves a budget cycle. Unfortunately for us, fiscal year ends in the middle of the summer. Most of the programs we're trying to do are summer programs. What we would ask you to do is when you look at the budgeting process, please consider the fact that when you budget in an FY, like if we budget for this FY, it's really not to affect this summer, it's the following summer. So if you budget this year in 2021 for that budget, it's really affecting the summer of 21. Why is that? It takes up to 90 days to really get the money out the door and actually affect things. And if we have to hire more staff, even more time. Even when we do a mid-year thing, it doesn't really hit until about the second month of the summer, and that can be problematic. Second thing that we bring up with you is when we outsource to our great community-based organizations who do a lot of this work with us, please consider the fact that that's not scot-free. When we do that, it does require work by staff, contracting, procurement. It does require quite often use of our spaces of our other facilities, and quite often, and sometimes we have to hire additional staff to oversee it. So consider that when you do it. If you can work with us in advance, if you have a CBO you're thinking about awarding, that helps out because then we can identify what those issues are going to be and we can prepare for them. And the last thing is, you heard a lot of emphasis on quality control. We don't just intend to impose this upon ourselves. We're going to impose it across the entire spectrum. It is critical. You need to make sure that every time you put money out the door, you're getting the best bang for the buck. And that's why that quality control is going to be so important to us. Mario's going to bring us home, and then we'll take your questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Chris. I'm going to skip to our mosaic, if you skip a couple of slides, and I'm going to summarize everything that I was going to say in those last 3 slides here. Here again is a depiction that we started with earlier. This is a depiction of the City of Sacramento's youth program services delivery model. It is robust, it is diverse, it is dynamic. It is also, and probably always will be, a work in progress. As Chris mentioned, we need to work that through our budget process, and as Lindy mentioned, we need to be guided by the research that indicates that we need to be intentional and deliberate in our processes. With that, I would be remiss if you would get to the next slide if I would not mention that I need to at least briefly mention what we think are the resources that we'll need going forward in order to sustain some of these efforts that we've summarized here for you. What you see on this slide is basically a summary of what we're calling an evaluation, quality assurance, and training unit. A lot of this presentation has been focused on all of the efforts that we made to transition. Basically what we're doing is we're transitioning from traditional recreation-based youth programs to more educational and youth development-based programming. And the research shows that in order to do that, we need to be intentional, we need to be deliberate, and we need to focus a lot on training and quality assessments. So that's what this unit is intended to address, but we will have to obviously balance that all with all of competing priorities that are existing there, and we'll work that through the budget process. With that, we conclude the presentation, and we're all here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Great, thank you. I do want to thank our city staff for this great presentation and all our youth from Hiram Johnson and throughout the city for exceptional work. You guys are setting the example for others, and clearly an example of working with multiple agencies to move this forward. I don't see any questions at the moment. I think this was a well-presented program, but I do agree that it's a new approach, more than just providing warehousing of youth. You know, it's actually building our youth. We're actually not just providing a place for them to recreate, but to become the leaders of the future. And with that, well, we do have a council member here engineer with some comments.
I think I would disappoint you if I didn't say something on this. Okay. So first of all, I want to thank all the staff for doing this, and Lindy, I think this is great. I appreciate all of it. I just want to highlight a couple of the things that I heard that I think are really important. One is that the work that you're doing is all research-based, that we are looking at best practices that are going around from all over the country, really, and trying to bring them here so that we can take what's important for Sacramento. Within that, the issue of quality is paramount. And we've always thought, I think, as we've moved forward in all of this, that looking at what we're doing today and making sure that the quality is high is as important as adding new slots for a program. It doesn't do us any good, and bad programs can actually be have negative impacts on young people. So I want to thank you for keeping that. And sometimes that's really difficult to do because the results are not as immediate as saying, we added another 100 slots for another 100 jobs or whatever it is, but really understanding what our young people need to be successful in school and career and in life. It is changing a culture, and towards that end, I think there's lots of things that we can do to really institutionalize this by building an infrastructure that really focuses on those issues of quality and focuses on those issues of success and takes the 5 supports that you've talked about that we put in the campaign, youth development campaign, and implementing those in everything that we do. I think we need to go back and thank the 40 or so community-based organizations that worked on the youth development campaign that really resulted in the foundational aspects of what we're doing here today. I also appreciate the fact that this goes beyond us. As far as the programs that we deliver. It goes to all of the funding opportunities. And I think that what we have been doing is creating more funding more opportunities for young people. So I just want to talk a second about the pop-ups because I think it's a really good example of what can be. We're not quite there yet. I think the pop-ups are probably a little bit, the quality varies between the pop-ups. We wanted to do something quickly and get it out there to provide the safe spaces. That's really important. But thinking about how we can use those to really engage young people, to bring that quality to everything that we do is really important. And so they're building that infrastructure over time is something that we need to keep an eye on how we do that, because it's really easy just to roll the ball out and say, okay, go play, versus the educational pieces that Chris was talking about. We have the language down, so that's step one. We're thinking about it in the right ways. I think doing the training internally is really important, and creating the youth voice. I was particularly excited when I forget, it's probably a year ago now, when we met with fire, police, the big 3, and listening to how you all were talking about young people, which was very different than it had been before. And I think the example was, the really easy example was when we used to bring in young people, we'd give them the rules. Now we let them tell us what the rules are and create the rules, because then there's ownership and they pay attention to it. It's those types of things that we can do differently so that when these young people get older and start taking our jobs, they're taking care of business in a big way. So I just want to say thank you for this. I appreciate it. I think we have a long way to go. I think, Mr. City Manager, if we can try to find funding for these FTEs to, again, continue to increase the quality and make sure we're doing the right things, we'll be a better city for it. This is how we need to think about our sustainability, way beyond green buildings. This is the human infrastructure that we need for our young people. Every young person in Sacramento deserves what anyone gets, right? So Richard Murphy, who started the Beacon School, has always said, a great after-school program is what I can do for my kids every day because I'm lucky enough to be able to do it. So that's where I am. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Well, thank you, staff. Appreciate all the hard work. Again, let's give a big round of applause to all our city employees and the youth that are here today. That concludes the items on our agenda. Madam Clerk,
Mr. Vice Mayor, I do have 8 speakers on this agenda item.
Oh, on this agenda item. Okay,
Correct.
let's, we do have members of the public wishing to speak.
So the first is Elijah Martinez, Axel Tinoco, then Pauline Brown.
Hello, good evening, council. My name, again, is Elijah Martinez. I'm here today in support of the Fire Youth Academy. It just was a huge impact to me, and I know many of the other cadets in the academy. So it was about, a year, 2 years ago, the very first Sacramento Regional Fire Youth Academy was started, which was 9 weeks. So, and in that time, I really felt like a self-reflection of myself. It kind of just came out of my little shell I was. I think most youth usually are growing up. It was just a way for us to come out and meet new students, meet new youth, meet the staff that was there to help us, and just overall see how their career is. I also want to say how it really just kind of helped me find what I want to really do in the future career-wise. And this academy is just a really good academy, so the support that the staff gives us, the firefighters that come out of their personal time to come out and show us what they do for a living is just a really good thing, I feel like. And just that this is building us up so that when the adults, as you hear, we may be in your seats one day or helping us in the society when we grow older. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Axel Tinoco, then Pauline Brown, then Byron Burhull.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Cadet Assistant Chief Tinoco from the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy. I want to start off by saying that the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy is sponsored by Safari for At-Risk Youth and other local organizations. Without the Youth Academy, underserved teens from the Sacramento area are more likely to engage in risky behaviors. Risky behaviors such as engaging in unprotected sex, drugs, underage drinking, impaired driving, and violent behaviors. Many of the Youth Academy staff have lived a life where they engaged in risky behaviors themselves, but found a way to change it around. These stories that they share with us are examples of how one can change their life around with a little bit of hard work and dedication. It is thanks to these awesome firefighters that we are able to find a way to awesome firefighters that I was able to turn my ways around. Before the program, I engaged in risky behaviors, but because of the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy, I was able to come back stronger, better. With funding from the City of Sacramento, the Youth Academy can continue to serve the underserved teens from the City of Sacramento for many more years to come. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Next speaker is Pauline Brown, then Byron Burhull.
Good evening. I'm just going to read. I'm a college career technician at Hiram Johnson High School. 2 years ago, I call him Richard Alamo, but I guess it's Engineer Alamo, came to Hiram Johnson with a dream of starting the Fire Academy and asked for a chance to present his idea to our students. 2 teachers accepted the offer. In 2 days, we exceeded the amount of applicants needed for the interviews. We had over 50 students and their families show interest. We did 40 interviews, and 32 Hiram Johnson students were on their way to being the first Sacramento Regional Youth Fire Youth Academy. Nothing could have prepared us for the amazing adventure that this would unfold for our students, their families, and Hiram Johnson. I want to say for the Academy also, but I'm a Hiram Johnson staff. The pride, dedication, and total will to want to come Saturday to the academies was overwhelming by all the cadets and their families who made sure that they came and were there on time. The firefighters are such a great role model for the cadets, making them feel like family from the very beginning. Attendance for the cadets was very high, and no one wanted to be absent because they were afraid of what they might miss learning and experiencing on the next Saturday. Talk about the academy was all around the campus at Hiram Johnson. Other students were asking why did they not get to join, and how could they get on the list or be put on a waiting list for the next go-around. Teachers were impressed with cadets' improvement at school in their academics, attendance, and behavior. The cadets were stepping up as role models at school, not even knowing that they were doing this themselves, coming from within themselves. Self-esteem grew, involvement in the, I'm sorry, I lost my place. Self-esteem grew in the school, involvement grew from parent involvements. Students were getting involved in our government, sports, activities. I've been at Hiram-Johnson for 21 years, and I've never seen such a positive impact for students, families,
Thank you for
and
your
the community.
comments, ma'am. Your time is complete.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Byron Burhol, then Elizabeth Hernandez, then Richard Dana.
Thank you and good evening. My name is Byron Burhell, and I am the CEO of Solutions for At-Risk Youth. I'm a retired firefighter. I served 30 years as a firefighter, and this program came to me in my service to the community. I worked in a community that where there was a lot of violence and there was socioeconomic problems, but there was interest. There was interest in what firefighters do from young people who oftentimes were victims and sometimes perpetrators of crime. We brought them in. We said, this is how we do what we do. How do you extricate someone from a vehicle? How do you go into a burning building? We brought them in and showed them firsthand, but more importantly, we mentored. We shared some concepts with them that would keep them on the straight and narrow, keep them out of trouble. I am so inspired every time that I come to Sacramento and I'm around the young people and the staff that's here. There are caring firefighters who are spending their time, mentoring these young people. And I think that you should be aware of the fact that this program is going on in your community if you aren't already. Academic achievement is one of their fundamental principles. We have measured increase in grade point averages. We have measured attendance improvement, less discipline referrals, community service. There's a program that I'm more directly involved with in Vallejo. Last year, I heard 35 youth. Yeah, that's a modest number, but the impact is so much greater. In Vallejo, we have the same amount of youth, and we trained over 1,000 children in how to be safe, fire prevention and safety. There is room for this program and for the activities that these young people are engaged in. Self-discipline. We talk about making good decisions. You heard some of the youth say how they were on one path and they've changed path. I just encourage you to lend your support in whatever way that you can to make sure that this program is stable and vital in this community. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Next speaker is Elizabeth Hernandez, then Richard Dana, then Margaret Birmingham.
Good evening, City Council. I would like to first thank the Mayor, Darrell Steinberg, in his absence, City Manager Howard Chan, and Mindy Cuppy, City Clerk, plus all the district members who are here. I am Cadet Captain Elizabeth Hernandez of the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy. Just this past summer, I was granted the opportunity to be a part of Summer at City Hall. We learned and discussed a lot of topics, among those being civic engagement. And something that adults really value is seeing that the youth is civically engaged. And one way that we have done that is through the Sacramento Regional Firefighter Youth Academy. Through the Academy, I have learned better ways to communicate. I have also learned to be both sympathetic and empathetic. The Academy directors are people who have risked their lives for anyone. They are firefighters, both retired and still on the job. Whether they know them or not, they still go out and save them. And on top of that, they come out on their days off, early in the morning, just to get the Academy ready for us. And to that, I would like to also thank the wonderful volunteers who come out every Saturday to also help us out when they can be all can be doing something else. I had no idea that through this Academy, I'd be able to come out of my little space and go out to talk to people. I make new friends. Also, something that I never expected is that the bonds will become so strong that I really like the Academy for that. I think it's a really good thing that they have for the youth. I also really enjoy that we have fun together as a group. We are one group. We are one whole, one community. We are Sacramento Regional's Firefighter Youth Academy, and as we say, in the academy, if one struggles, we all struggle. But unfortunately, without the proper funding, we will no longer be able to go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your comments.
Richard Dana?
Good evening. Vice Mayor, council members, city manager. Nice to have you all here tonight. Thank you. This was a wonderful presentation. I learned a lot of the depth of the programs that were going on. I actually was a part of the community partnership group that met with staff here in the city to create the framework that you saw tonight. It's really amazing to see how far it's come. Councilmember Chenier stole a lot of the things that I was going to say, so I'm going to emphasize a couple items and just ask for you to consider some direction. One is that Chris Conlon mentioned that it's really important that funding be, when it's identified, when you can identify it, that it go through a process that allows for it to be given the time to be ready for the upcoming fiscal year. I've seen that with pop-ups. You know, sometimes they literally popped up in terms of the funding opportunities and the time frame. If it wasn't for the city manager's team, we would have had really struggled in getting some of the funds out. Next week, you'll be seeing pop-ups on your agenda again, which is great. It's an extension, but that original contract ended in December, so it's been carried through Sierra Health Foundation. Without that, wouldn't have happened. It's still, pop-ups are still going on right now. Second piece is that there is no avenue today for outside groups like pop-ups to actually be ingrained into the city's youth planning and program development. So if it wasn't for Lindy, and I agree with the shout out, Lindy's amazing, we wouldn't have been able to actually introduce some of the training components that'll be coming up in this next cycle, this next 6 months. We wouldn't have been looking at quality improvement in the same capacity. And those are things that we needed to do. I'll finish in a second, I promise. That we need to do, but the methodology that currently is there isn't actually structured for folks to be able to implement long-term inside the system.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you, Mr. Dana. Thank you.
Next speaker is Margaret Birmingham, and then our final speaker is Adrienne Ruiz.
Good evening. I am Margaret Birmingham. I'm a member of YDN. I'm a youth development specialist. In my brief amount of time, I just really want to reiterate the importance of two aspects to this program, specifically the consistency and the longevity of these programs. If programs like this are not offered consistently, they're not going to be able to promote the 5 supports and opportunities of the youth development framework as successfully as continuously offered ones. And the longevity of these programs also allows a greater breadth of growth and development and improvement in these city programs. There is a piece of research done by Irby, Pittman, and Ferber from 2001 that indicates that young people who take active roles in programs like the WIA Fire Academy, like all of the programs offered by YPSI and the Big Three, have fewer problems, are better skilled, and tend to be better community members later in life. So much in the same vein as Councilman Chenier has said, I believe that continuing to support and fund these programs could be the best thing you could do for Sacramento's youth and Sacramento community at large. Hearing that programs like the WIA Fire Academy may not be able to continue as frequently and continuously is really disheartening as a youth development specialist. I think that if we're going to try to do better for our community and for our youth, continuing these programs is going to be our best option. Adrienne Ruiz is not able to join us tonight, so I will be your last speaker. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your comments.
It appears we have no more speakers.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. If there are no questions for the council here, I do want to thank again everyone, all our public speakers, and we've got a lot more work to do. But it's, I think, a great start, and you got a lot of work ahead of you, Mr. Lara, as well. So.
I have a comment.
Okay,
So, Mr. Vice Mayor, we're down to council comments, ideas, questions. And I do have some board and commission appointments to read in the record, if I may.
Okay, let's go ahead and start with the boards and commission readings and see if there's any members of the council who wish to comment.
Thank you. I'm passing out to the council, and the clerk has for the public, the mayoral appointments roster for 2020, which is scheduled to be adopted next week on January 18th. I have distributed this to the dais here, and the clerk has some for the public. These appointments will be on next city's council agenda for approval. And additionally, at that same time, at the next meeting, January 14th, the mayor will be nominating Councilmember Harris as vice mayor and Councilmember Ashby as the mayor pro tem for 2020. Thank you.
Councilmember Harris.
Just have one brief announcement. The South Natomas Urban Greening Project will continue with the tree planting this Saturday, January the 11th, from 8:45 until noon. For more information, you can call 924-8733 or register as volunteer online at sactree.com. It's a real fun thing, and it will provide more canopy in South Natomas, which we all need. Thank you.
Councilmember Jennings.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. To all the young people who spoke, to all of the supporters who have helped them along the way and spoke for them and about them, and to all the staff who did an incredible job today, I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. It's been a long night. You've been patient, and your comments were incredible. I wrote down some very important words that I'll remember for a long time. You talked about the impact. You talked about the support that you've been getting along the way. You talked about building on previous success. You talked about the ability to serve, and you talked about being a role model. You've got some incredible role models that are here for you, and you're now going to become role models for others along the way. So I thank each one of you for your dedication and support for the work that you're doing right now, and I thank the staff for making this possible. This was an incredible presentation. My heart is filled. We have a lot of work to do, but we've done a lot of work. And so I just want to have those comments before I give you my announcements. Office hours will take place in District 7. Instead of coming to City Hall, we bring office hours to you. They'll take place at the Mack Road Valley High Community Center on Thursday the 9th at 6 p.m. This is an opportunity for you to bring any issues, problems, or just come by and say hello at City Hall at the Mack Road Valley High Community Center, Thursday the 9th at 6 p.m. And if you like tree planting, if that's something that you really want to do, right? You want to get it, you would all Christmas, all during the holidays, you said, man, I wish I could plant a tree. I have an opportunity for you. You can come plant a tree this Saturday at Seymour Park. We want to make sure that you bring the appropriate clothes, and hardworking and positive attitude is a must. This is an opportunity for you to volunteer and serve your community. And if you'd like to do so, you can call my office at 808-7007 or get in contact with our Parks Commissioner, Devin Lavelle. His number is 916-808-7192. And then finally, St. Anthony Community Youth Basketball is in need of volunteers. So if you're into basketball, you want to help some young kids in that sport, here's an opportunity. St. Anthony Community Basketball needs high school volunteers to help staff its snack table for their Friday and Saturday league games. It's a perfect opportunity for high school students who need to earn service credit. And this will run through January and February. So you can call my office for more information, but either yourself or if you know someone that could benefit, please spread the word for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilmember Jennings. Madam Clerk.
Vice Mayor Guerra, I have 6 speakers for public comment matters on the agenda. First is Robert Copeland, Rebecca Sandoval, Raul Huerta, Daphne Harris.
Well, first of all, this morning I had a meeting with City Council Member Hanson's staff member. I thought it went very well. I learned a lot of things about what the plan is in Sacramento, what Steve Hanson agrees on and what doesn't agree. We don't agree on everything. So I took Rick Jennings' suggestion from the last meeting. And I also contacted Mayor Steinberg's office, have not got a response if there's going to be a meeting or not. 2, your public outreach on issues flat out sucks. Because when you did the anti-rent gouging ordinance, when you passed that, a lot of stakeholders were not even involved. We didn't give our input unless it was right here at City Hall. We had practically no input. 3, as far as the previous agenda item, I would say prove it. Add more money to it. Because what can help our youth will keep them out of jail and prison and maybe good job skills. Next, measure A, I don't think it's going to pass right now because I'll give you a couple reasons why. SB 1, they think that's going to solve the transportation problems. 2, I don't think a lot of Sacramento City and the city are going to pass because of Measure U. 3, I don't think it's very good for several reasons. Because I was talking to Steve Hansen's staff member, the Southwest corridor, that's going to take up a lot of money. And a lot of people are not going to agree with that. They want road repair, better public transportation. I know the county's got different priorities than the city does. But I don't think it's going to pass, to tell you the truth.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete.
My time's up? Okay.
Yes, thank you. Our next
First
speaker
time
is
it happened in
Becca
a while.
Sandoval. Raul Huerta.
Good evening. I'm here once again to speak about a proposed shelter on homeless shelter on Northgate Boulevard. I presented a lot of my reasons why it was a problem for our neighborhood. I don't know any other school board member that's going to say, yes, put a shelter across from our school. But one of the things that I want to really talk about is a lack of transparency in talking about this shelter. Early in October, I was at a Northgate Advisory Group committee meeting, and we were apprised by Heather Fargo that there was going to be a proposed shelter. Several of the members in that committee talked about issues with that. We were then told by Heather Fargo, Councilman Harris did not want us to know about it just yet. So then on November 4th, I attend a NAG meeting, and I'm told by Councilman Harris's staff that, no, he has some plans. We asked specifically, what was he going to do? On November 8th, I get my board package from the school board, and I learn of this plan. I attend the Latino Democratic Club meeting and see that Councilman Harris presented this on October 22nd. So not a whole lot of transparency there. Then Councilman Harris presented the proposal to a community group which is not in the affected area. But on December 7th, there was a meeting of about 150 people that came when the mayor and Councilman Harris were there. And I will say that it was most disappointing because when I attempted to talk about that it was not going to be strictly for children, small children, but there would be 17-year-old there also, the mayor told me he would not allow me to demonize 17-year-olds. Councilman Guerra, you know I've worked tirelessly on behalf of our youth, and that was totally inappropriate. At that same meeting, a mother had to remind Councilman Harris not to take her words, not to misrepresent her words.
Thank you for your comments. Your time is complete.
Thank you, Trustee Sandoval.
Next speaker is Raul Huerta, then Daphne Harris.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. I'm here this evening to voice my concern and objection, and that of many of our neighbors, some of which couldn't be here today, but a lot of them which are here with us today, to council members Harris's proposal to place 50 transitional homeless cabins on a city-owned site at the corner of Northgate Boulevard and Patio Street. Transitional housing, regardless of who it is serving, does not belong across the street from an elementary school. That vacant lot already attracts homeless individuals to our small neighborhood. And the transitional housing project, regardless of who it serves, will only attract more. Parents walk their children to and from Garden Valley Elementary School every day, and many children walk to and from school on their own as well. Many parents that we have spoken to have voiced their concern for the safety of their children and their families. Additionally, our neighborhood already has over 300 units of affordable housing at Point Natomas Apartments, which is located at the corner of San Juan Avenue and Birmingham Drive. This is one of the main entrances to our neighborhood. And now Councilmember Harris wants to place 50 homeless cabins at the other main entrance of our neighborhood. Concentrating a large number of affordable housing in one small neighborhood is unfair and not equitable. Councilmember Harris is looking for the cheapest solution without considering the ramifications to our neighborhood. So we're asking you today to please help us stop this Band-Aid approach and misguided proposal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments.
Next speaker is Daphne Harris. Following Ms. Harris is Brian Smith, then David Marvelli.
I'm going to try to summarize my comments to Vice Mayor, all of the council members. I appreciate the presentation that you guys gave about the youth. It ties into what I wanted to bring to your attention. I think that we need to not only invest more in our youth, but actually give them a permanent location in which to reside. There are a lot of plans to put the same type of thing, a homeless shelter, in our neighborhood as well in District 8. We are asking as residents to take the site that has been identified and make it more productive, actually looking at it being a permanent site for the youth and making it an educational and a sports complex. There's 32 acres that are located there. I would like to present to the council a solution that would be viable. It would allow 24/7 access to the facility. It would allow parents and children to wash clothes, to take care of basic needs. It would also allow the police department to have interaction with youth and children and students. It would allow also the sheriff's department to do the same. So there's a proposal that we would like to present to the council. We'd like the best way to do that. There's a way to bring private funds to the table. I keep hearing a lot of the youth organizations not having enough funding. There are ways to establish funding. There's ways to generate revenue. There's ways to get more money coming into the youth environment as opposed to just handing out Band-Aids and handing out pop-ups. Pop-ups are wonderful. They're temporary, and they give kids a lot of hope, and then you're gonna snatch that hope away when the funding snatches away. So I would like for the city council to be a little bit more diligent in listening to ideas that need to come to you. And I'd also like for you to also have APN information on your agenda items, because you just approved a whole consent list that has a lot of ambiguity in it. So that's my comment.
Thank you for your comments. And the city managers has suggested that you submit your comments to Mr. Conlon here as well. Thank you. Submit your comments to Mr. Conlon of your proposals.
Next speaker is Brian Smith, and our final speaker is David Marvelli.
This is a private topic. It's my personal life. It took me 7 years to get here and stand in front of you guys today. I went to federal prison for a dispensary I owned here in Sacramento. I'm part of the core equity program, and I'm grateful that you guys have allowed me to be a part of that. It was very difficult to go away for 3 years and leave my children for something that I know was not wrong. But why I'm here today is to talk to you about the 5 dispensaries that are going to be issued to the core program. I was one of those dispensaries that were, I did the right thing. The city at the time said I couldn't transfer it to my wife. Come to find out that over the years that was, allowed for other dispensaries. So when I was federally charged for something I later proved in federal court, I have federal documents that show I never broke state law. I never did anything personally myself to go to prison. I can't believe I went to jail. I lost friends, family, my community. Sorry, this is an emotional moment It took me a long time to get back here. I would ask that for next Tuesday, that possibly, I know one of my licenses, the reason why there's 5 being given is because those 5 that were closed, one being mine, there might be a reinstatement program for those that had a license that were arrested, that lost their license because of an arrest. Thank you for your time. Sorry that I wasn't emotional. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Yeah, no.
Mr. Smith?
Assistant City Manager here.
Thank you. And our final speaker this evening is David Marvelli.
Thank you for your time. I'll be brief here. So I recently read an article in Sacramento Bee that I'm speaking on behalf of the Northgate homeless shelter at Patio in Northgate. Sacramento Bee quoted Jeff Harris as stating that 90% of people attending a community meeting were in support of these cabins. At the town hall meeting that Ms. Sandoval mentioned earlier, I would say that it was quite the opposite. 90% of the people were opposed to it. At that same meeting, Mr. Harris and Mr. Steinberg were unable to, or at best, ill-prepared to answer questions such as what specific programs will be available. At the meeting, it was stated homeless individuals will be rotated out of the cabins every 3 to 6 months. I'd like to know where they go after that and what the ratio of people pushed out of the homeless shelter after 3 to 6 months end up homeless again. These questions were left unanswered. Also, what impacts do the cabins of this nature have on property values of the homeowners who live closest? Since that meeting, our neighbors have put together a petition that has to date been signed by over 700 people of our community that are not in support of building a shelter across the street from an elementary school in a residential neighborhood. As the gentleman stated earlier with the youth programs, we need to be intentional and deliberate with our spending. Programs such as the Youth Firefighter programs are much more deserving and effective use of city funds over building homeless cabins in the middle of a residential neighborhood across from an elementary school. That funding would much be better put to use for programs of that nature. If this proposal is brought in front of the City Council, I urge each of you to ask yourselves these questions before voting yes. If even one child is hurt by someone living in this camp, or a disgruntled father or spouse or drug dealer hanging around the area, is it worth it? If this camp was less than 500 feet from your front door, would you still support it? Do you truly believe that a shelter of this nature will provide a better example to the students that attend Garden Valley Elementary School every day than virtually any other youth program that you could possibly think of? If you cannot answer yes to any of these questions, I feel each of you have a responsibility to vote no. Thank you.
Vice Mayor, I have no more speakers.
Thank you very much for your comments. Councilmember Harris.
So thank you, Vice Mayor. Some of the comments that were spoken tonight were not exactly accurate, but what I do want to say about the process is that this is an idea. It's not a perfected program. It is not coming for a vote anytime soon. There have been 2 community meetings on the subject so far, and in fact, at the first meeting, there was a lot of positive comments and people were largely in favor of it. At the second meeting, there was a lot of angst about it. So clearly there is opposition to the idea of a homeless shelter at Patio and Northgate. I understand that completely, and I understand some of your arguments I think need to be responded to, and some of them I don't think are accurate. But the next public meeting about this will be held at Rio Tierra Junior High School. I believe it will be January 29th, at which point you can express all of your fears and concerns, and we will try to address them as best we can. But understand that this is a program in development. It's not like we built the whole thing and we're going to vote on it without your input. That is not correct. At the next meeting, I will have First Step Communities present so that they can answer your questions about how the property would be managed. Notice I'm saying would, because this is not guaranteed. This is an idea that we are presenting to try to solve a big problem in Sacramento. So understanding that we have to work with the immediate community, we will continue a series of public meetings. So this is a dialogue, okay? The people who say that this is a done deal are not correct. You know, I've heard a lot of comments in the community about what the shelter would bring to the community, you know, there is a reality here somewhere, and it is our intention as public representatives to bring to you the best information we can before the council would ever consider a decision on this issue. You know, homelessness is a very serious problem in Sacramento, and we are looking for solutions to it. Maybe this is a good one, maybe it's not, but it's a dialogue, and it's a dialogue with the community that will be ongoing. And I do appreciate the fact that you are willing to participate, and I understand that you're opposed. I understand it completely. Everywhere we have proposed a homeless shelter, there's been substantial opposition. But I also have some experience with a homeless shelter that created a lot of good outcomes. So, you know, the process here is to try to gain your support. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. But this is not a done deal, and there will be more community input solicited, and we will try to bring more valuable information to you. So thank you for coming.
Madam Clerk. Good, thank you very much. Well, I appreciate everyone for their time, and we are adjourned at 7:34 p.m.